Welcome into the Nickel City Crew. I am your host, Rob Griffin. Please like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Nickel City Crew. This episode, along with all of our episodes, are presented by Crippen Legacy Entertainment here on Spreaker. We're so glad that you're joining us for some of your Buffalo Bills and NFL content again today. And as always, these are my Bills thoughts said out loud. All right, let's get straight to it. I'm really excited again for Nickel City Crew being in its second season. Welcome to episode 2. We are excited here on a Tuesday. I'm really excited about getting into this episode, and I was really getting excited last night about it after driving home from work because I finally thought like we might have a little bit of drama to talk about for the first time. So I'm excited to be joined once again by my good friend. Again, he is now officially, you could call him the co-host, Nickel City Crew. I mean, literally, he's put in more work than any other person that I know besides myself. So once again, can't wait to be joined again tonight by Dump Truck, my man, Adam Rupczyk. What's up, Adam? Holla at us, DT. What's up, man? How you doing?
Rob, good to be back. What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning back in. Another weekend, and hey, our first game week of the season.
Yeah,
Let's go.
It really is, and Monday starts the new week, and then obviously the Bills, like you alluded to, are getting ready to get loose this weekend on Saturday, and that's going to be fun to finally see the Bills get on the field. And one of the things that I wanted to start the show with tonight was the drama that I was referring to and alluding to. DT, we finally got some juice coming out of camp. It has been reported by, I saw something by Joe Biscaglia. I saw another report by Sal Capaccio. I've heard a lot of different rumblings, and the rumblings coming out of camp right now are that Kaiir Elam is a little bit, he's kind of struggling a little bit, okay? Mm-hmm. And what I've heard, in addition to him struggling, is that there hasn't been much better being shown on the field from Dane Jackson, okay? We've all seen, I think, hopefully, that wonderful catch by Stefon Diggs on the sideline, one-handed, and he grabbed that thing. And before he grabbed that thing with one hand on the sideline, Dane Jackson did slip and fall. I mean, he literally did look like he looked like an N1 mixtape. He looked like an N1 mixtape. So
got him on skates out there.
Yeah, he had him on ice like he was playing for the Sabres. So listen, every cornerback gets beat. I don't want to make more of it than it has to be, but in respects to this team being so buttoned up, there's not many things that can derail this season from being what we all hope it will be and what a lot of us anticipate it will be. One of the things that could derail it would be big time plays against you. We've seen what the Kansas City Chiefs have done against us these last few years in the playoffs, and obviously they have that big playability. Now we'll see how it shifts with Tyreek Hill out of town, but speak to it, DT. This is interesting, and it's something that I'm really focused on because of the fact that we haven't had much to talk about. If cornerback 2 is an issue, plus Trey coming back slowly, you could be in for it. I did predict week 1 as a loss. It wasn't to be morbid or pessimistic. It was just because of the fact that I think the Rams are a great team. One of the reasons that I think the Rams are a great team is because they have great wide receivers, and Trey White may not be back. Speak to it, man. Let me know what I mean. Am I crazy? Like this story's coming out right now is that Christian Benford's been playing, and like what is going on?
I think you're rightfully to be concerned a little bit here, right? It's a huge loss for being Trey White out, and you knew there was going to be a lot of pressure on anybody trying to fill that role. I think we really put a huge shoes to fill in Kaiir Elam, picking him first, and came into camp, and and I think as we kind of spoke on last week of the everything being a little too quick, the reports and everything of every single motion that happens at camp, it came in and he looked solid, right away. So everyone gets on this board that he's the next lockdown corner week into camp, and then he starts to, not that I don't think he's necessarily playing bad, but he's just not looking as good as when he started. So I think we maybe put some false false prophecy in the beginning of this camp,
Hmm.
that we were already naming this guy all pro, 8 days in. And now, he's going to be going through the growing pains and get it rolling. And that's at the end of the day, what we would have expected on draft
Yeah.
night, when we
Hmm.
picked this guy, that he wasn't going to come in and it was going to take some time, and it still will take some time. So I think you're rightfully to be concerned, because there is holes in here but last year when Trey White went out, for the most part, obviously other than a few, game break and big plays, and obviously in the games we needed to win, but for the most part, Leslie Frazier and the defense really did a good job of masking, Trey White
Oh,
not being
Levi
there.
Wallace
So
and Dane Jackson played well. They played
exactly,
well in
exactly.
his stead.
So
Absolutely.
so and I have faith in Dane Jackson getting back up, and Taron Johnson keep filling that in, and I think Kyrie Elam is definitely gonna hit his stride and be a good player. He's too athletic. He's got that gamer mentality, and he's cut from the right cloth to be a good player in this league. So I think you're right to be concerned. But we got a lot of time left, a lot of time left to really put the jury in on this dude.
Absolutely. I agree. I think that it would be crazy to kind of jump off a ledge of Kyrie Elam. We love his physical traits. We talked about it
Yeah.
after the draft. So obviously we're not going to jump off the train on that here at the crew. But it was interesting because again, I feel like I'm in the desert and I'm searching for anything. And that was the
Yeah.
first sign of something that we could at least talk about. Because when you think about the season, one of the big things that can kill you in a game is obviously big plays. And if you're going to be giving up
Yeah.
big plays on the outside, then that obviously means something, and it perked
And
my attention.
and
But
what's going on in practice that's causing this concern, right? Is he legit rep after rep after rep getting burned? I don't think so. I think it's just he dropped off a little from everyone was pleasantly surprised to see him early, and then he dropped off a little. I don't think he's getting cooked all day in practice.
he is going up against Stephon Diggs, the captain. He is
Yeah.
going up against
Yeah.
Josh Allen. He is going up against some other great receivers as well. So obviously he's going to have his growing pains. I
Of
agree with
course.
you on that one. Absolutely. So as we shift a little bit, but we'll stay in the secondary. One of the reasons that we heard this guy's name, Christian Ben, for the 6th-round pick was because
Yeah.
of the fact that we've had some injuries on the back end. I think they shifted Nick McLeod and let him get a couple reps in at safety due to Poirier and Hyde being out. Because of that, it's kind of given the emergence to a young kid from Philly, from Villanova. You rarely see those FCS schools actually have players that make impacts, but when they do, we notice them because of that. It's a big leap coming, obviously, from Villanova to the Bills, but it says, I guess, apparently Christian Benford has been turning some heads recently.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, you're talking a little bigger, a little slower.
Hmm.
So when he originally drafted, kind of the rumblings were, he might be more into that hybrid safety role, that positionless
Hmm.
defender, if you
Hmm.
will, maybe play down in the box and be able to hit people, and kind of like that Kyle Hamilton kid from Notre Dame,
Right.
that hybrid role of safety and linebacker and whatnot. And he's coming and getting reps on the outside because he has to, with the emergence of everything going on with injuries and whatnot. So and he's stepping up to the plate right now. But let's again, as this he's getting reps this week and looking good. Next week, if he starts getting beat, is Capaccio's tweet going to be, you know, Bedford's getting burned in practice concern, for Christian Bedford. But it's so we'll see. We'll see for sure. But you got to like these guys being out there and getting competitive. It's not making them worse by getting out there and getting these reps. So, I think we definitely have to, take it with a grain of salt a little this early, and we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see. I love the fact that I don't have any preference. I want all these young men to have opportunities to make the team, and it really is on your merits. That's one of the things that we love about sports is that it's a merit league. So don't tell me that Christian Benford can't come and surprise the world and come in as a starting cornerback on this team. Now, obviously, it's not likely. It's not something that we would predict necessarily, but hey, these guys are out there competing. That's what training camp's for. We'll get a chance in the preseason to really evaluate these guys in game situations. So it'll be
Yeah,
fun to look
and
at.
hopefully,
Now,
exactly.
yeah,
Hopefully, it's
and
another
hopefully what? Go
story.
ahead.
It's another
Yeah, it
story,
could be a story is what
It's
I was
another
leading to. I
of
didn't want to be
this exactly. This
yeah, I
FCS
didn't
guy
want to be
comes out
too
to
I
be a
didn't want to be too
superstar, and
dramatic.
Josh
Yeah,
Josh Allen came from no college offers, came in.
sure,
He's one of the best players in the league. Nobody thought
sure.
this was happening. That's what we can only hope. So
That's it. Now one of the final questions, and we'll wrap up the cornerback conversation, would be: is a guy like Joe Haden a possibility for Brandon Beane? Obviously, he's got this roster pretty much tightened up and constructed in a way that should be successful, and it looks like it on paper. But you never can have too much cornerback depth, especially in this passing league now. Do you see that an opportunity for Brandon Beane to maybe make a late offseason move and bring in a guy like Joe Haden on obviously have to be something above the veteran minimum, and I don't know how much money we have to work with, but maybe you could speak to that, DT, because I'm always looking and I'm always wondering if this team wants to improve right before the season, and obviously we'll talk about that later in the episode.
Well, you see this a lot. A vet that's kind of got out of his superstardom, kind of take it easy through the camp process. Teams kind of wait to see how the roster shakes out, if there's any injuries, if they need to bring in, a guy like this. I think, it'd be obviously a short-term deal. I like Joe Haden. I think that's going to be the best guy out there, to go get in a situation like this. But I think, Brandon Beane's just kind of being patient right now, seeing how it plays out. He would rather have his guys, the young guys he's drafted that are going to be a part of this franchise for years to come, fill in and step into that role. But, if we get to, we're getting to the end of preseason and, there's still a lot of concern and, the beginning of the schedule is no slouch. So these guys are going to have to guard, and be physical and guard early and often. And, teams are going to be picking on them early and often too. And, if Beane and McDermott think that these guys can't step up, I would not be surprised at all to see him go get a vet guy. And Joe Haden obviously is the biggest name on that list. But Joe Haden could go back anywhere. He could go back to the Steelers. He could go to any team that's looking for some veteran help in the secondary. It's not just the Bills have rights to him just because he's the biggest free agent name still out there in the cornerback market. So, that's a game Beane's got to play as well if he's really considering it. When do you pull the trigger so you don't get beat out?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and I like that point, because it'll be interesting to see how he addresses it, or like you said, if he addresses it at all. So I'll be watching it. One of the names coming out of camp last week, as we enter into a little bit over 2 weeks, I think tomorrow will be 2 weeks in camp. AJ Epenesa on the end. They're saying that he's actually rotating NDT as the third, and I guess obviously in that red and blue scrimmage, he was the third guy opposite of Greg Rousseau because they gave Von Miller the night off. I'm wondering if some of Von Miller is not already paying dividends for the Bills, and we haven't even laced up our cleats yet. And I would love to hear you speak to it because, listen, if AJ Epinesa is going to give a second round value of what you think, and what do you think of when you think of a second round pick? You think of him as, he's going to be a starter, hopefully. He may not be a Hall of Famer, but you would hope that maybe he could snag you a Pro Bowl or two because that's high end talent. That's high end traits to be selected that high. Even if you overreach, you've got to have something in the toolbox that got you, that got these scouts excited. Speak about AJ Epinesa because he's kind of creeping up, and it looks like he's maximizing on some of the things that maybe Von Miller's been rubbing off on him.
Yeah, not surprised for this. I mean, he's improved pretty gradually since he's came in, from where the first year we really were back and forth on if we really wasted that second round pick
Yeah, it
on
was a
this
little
guy,
bit
if
of
he
a
was ever
slow
gonna,
burn.
turn out.
Yeah, it was a little
Yeah,
bit of a slow
exactly. And
burn.
then he's kind of stepped up and into some roles as, and last year decent. But the fun thing to talk about is Von Miller. And what's Von Miller talking about? He's talking a lot about Greg Rousseau, how he's kind of taking Greg Rousseau under his wing and feeding, what did he say this week? Feeding him gunpowder and gasoline
He sure did.
to put that dog in him.
He
And
sure did.
so I think obviously he's working in the same deal with AJ Epinesa in the same room. They're running the same reps. So at the same time, everything he's teaching Greg Rousseau, also teaching AJ Epinesa as well. And I just think it's, it gets kind of lost in translation as, Von Miller's only saying it and Greg Rousseau's the first round big pick, a lot of potential, had a good rookie year last year. AJ Epinesa has an opportunity to kind of slide under the radar and surprise some people coming out and playing, halfway decent. Everyone's going to be, very surprised and happy with his play if he can come out and contribute. So I think, it's a gradual progression of him, and he's been getting better year by year. And because a lot of the talk this year has been Von Miller and Greg Rousseau, a lot of people kind of have forgotten AJ Epinesa, and he's just working his game, gradually getting better.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it looks like he has put in the work. We saw the Bills embedded when Von had his pass rushing camp, And AJ was there, and I joked around talking about there were guys that were there that had no reason being there, but it was good to actually look and see that Von cared enough that he invited Boogie Basham. He
Yeah.
invited AJ out with him, his new teammates, to come and be around a Chandler Jones and be around some of some of the bigger pass rushers, the Max Crosby. So there were a lot of guys that were in attendance there that are big time names. So I appreciate the fact that he's been going out of his way to fill that role. In season 1, when we did the Von Miller episode, I mean, that was one of the things that I spoke to. I knew that this was going to be happening because of his reputation. It precedes him, and he is a true professional. Not only is he a true professional, he's a mentor, and that's why he'll obviously moonwalk into the Hall of Fame 5 years after he hangs up the cleats, because he literally is.
Yeah.
He pays it forward. So I love that he's on the team, and I love that he's rubbing off for sure.
And talk about the opportunity of these younger guys. As people expect Von Miller to come in and be a game breaker and be productive for us, but that Bills fans are longing for that dominant pass rusher to come in and really gravitate towards. I mean, look how quickly people are really starting to light up, as obviously the whole world of Buffalo and beyond loves Josh Allen. Everyone loves the Boyer Hyde combo. Everyone loves Diggs, and Rousseau and Epenesa come in and start to be that dominant pass rush combo, for years to come. They're going to be fan favorites in no time. And that's, something to kind of motivate you and work towards too. If you're one of these younger guys, and I could really make, the rest of my living here if I become a dominant pass rusher.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it looks like Von's going to be here for a little while. We don't know if he'll obviously see the end of that deal, when you see those big numbers pop out. But obviously, I see him here this year, including another 2 or 3 for sure. And I'm excited about the future, obviously. So as we shift a little bit, injuries are always something that you have to keep your eye on in training camp. It's something that we obviously all dread, wanting our players to make sure that they get through camp healthy and get through these preseason games healthy. The Bills been a little bit banged up. A lot of stuff has been minor as we look at it, but I know Shakir has gone through some injury and some cramping and different things like that. And then the same thing with Crowder, and he's getting his way back. But on the flip side of that injury coin, some of the O-line is getting back together, DT. The hog mollies up front, those guys up front. I mean, we've got Spencer Brown back at camp practicing. We've got Roger Saffold off the NFI list from his car injury, and we're happy that he had a recovery that was speedy. It looked like it didn't take too long for him to get back, and glad that he's okay. What's up, man? The line is pretty soon. The line could be lining up, and they talk about cohesion. They talk about all of the things that are important for teams. It's important to get the 5 together, and obviously maybe not even preseason work, but at least practice work against the 1Ds, D-line, and getting work in and getting things done, and communication. That's all real important.
We're getting there. We're getting there when it comes to that. And I think the most crucial aspect of that line is going to be Spencer Brown, getting back and getting rolling in that. As the Bills have shown kind of over the years, they've been able to be interchangeable on the inside, somewhat, and find decent success in the guard slots. But when they've really dominated is when the tackles have played well. And when they really kind of caught their stride last year, I think, was when Spencer Brown was bullying people, just throwing people around. And he's got that attitude and that aura about him, that he is that big badass tackle, that's not just going to, protect Josh, go out and get your face on game and really start bullying people around. And I think obviously that's contagious. So I think that's the biggest thing I took from these offensive linemen injuries, of him getting back in there. I think the guards is interchangeable, improve there, and but you need that cohesion and consistency to have going into the season. But really excited about Spencer Brown getting back out there. I think I saw some great flashes of him last year, of him being a mean dude, and I hope
he looks
that,
big, man. He looks big, DT.
And,
he looks big,
boy,
DT.
Big boy.
He looks big, and he is nasty. Like, I thought about that last year, like watching him play.
Yeah.
It seemed like maybe that's some of that same thing we just talked about with Christian Benford. Maybe there's some of that FCS.
Yeah.
You got to climb a bigger.
Dudes.
You got to climb a higher mountain. It's a little bit harder. It's not, everybody's not looking at you, and then everybody is looking at you the same, right? Because if you're that kind of athlete at one of those smaller schools, you better be the man. Like, you better be out there
Oh
looking
yeah,
like Deion Sanders, like Christian Better. You better be
yeah,
out there looking like the next
exactly.
Orlando Pace out there. You know
You're
what I mean? As a
generational. You know,
yeah, you better look good.
those schools. If you go in and be a superstar for one of these, you're generational. That school hasn't seen a player like that in 10 years. You know, you're generational, and that's, in a way, I think that could help build confidence and swagger. Into a
Absolutely.
bigger role. Yeah.
Where yeah, absolutely. Where you get to the big stage and the big show, and it's not, the lights are not too bright. Absolutely. As we continue to go through, I've been having a lot of fun thinking about the season, and one of the things that is making this whole thing really fun is that Von Miller is actively out there recruiting OBJ. Now, listen, I'm not saying that the Bills will be in a position, and Brandon Beane is in a position where he can afford or he will bring in OBJ, but just the thought of it is really fun. It's kind of like for that
Yeah.
literal 12 hours that we thought that for a second we might have an opportunity to get Antonio Brown, and then obviously that literally ended before it could even start. But this could be something that would be really fun, and I don't really want to put anything past, our GM. DT, I'm not going to sit here and say that before the season starts that we couldn't add OBJ. He's still looking for work. Obviously, it's going to all base on his health and how long he can get back. But if you're telling me the Bills going for a Super Bowl and we can have OBJ for half the year, 9 games, I mean, I'll sign up. I mean, what's up? I'll sign up.
Von Miller's a vet in this league, and he wouldn't be. I'm not saying it's happening, but he wouldn't be posting in the open about this
You
and
don't think
bringing
so?
attention
You don't think so?
attention to this team if there wasn't a chance. I don't think so. No, I
Yeah.
mean,
Okay. Okay.
right? I mean, if he's posting and bringing attention to this team and not a distraction, but definitely opening up the thought to it and literally posting a picture of him in a Bills jersey today and saying
Yeah,
let's
I
let's
know.
chase this ring.
Yeah.
And so if a vet in this league knows PR, he knows what to say to the media, he knows not to say to the media, and he's not going to make some distraction that isn't have any possibility of being true. So again, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I think it holds a lot of weight coming from a vet in this league, carefully, putting this out on social media that this could be a thing. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened.
I
That'd be
thought
dope.
I respect that. I mean, I'll definitely respect that view. I looked at it more that it was just, more playful and that it was more
Yeah.
maybe wishful thinking. But don't get me down the road of taking it too seriously, because then now we're going 4 wide sets and I mean, we can go 5 wide and really
Whew.
start to confuse some secondaries.
Good
So
luck. Good
that's
luck
real.
guarding that
Yeah.
offense.
Yeah, that's real interesting to know, but I mean, to see, but I don't expect it. I'll be honest right there. I'll tell you on the record, I don't expect us to get OBJ, but it was just fun today because I saw the same tweet and it looked cool and it was funny looking. And I was like, wait a minute, could this be something? And is this another benefit of Von Miller? Hasn't he given us enough already? And we haven't even laced it up. And then he would get something else this big, a whale. And again, it's all based on his health, but OBJ, Bills, that's all real interesting, and I won't put it past them. Once I heard about the Bills being seriously interested in Antonio Brown years ago, once I heard that, I know that my GM will do anything he can to improve the team. He believes in his culture and his coach, and because of that, I wouldn't put anything past him.
And I'd like to take a second here to clear up because you got a lot of it on both sides today in social media. Oh yeah, that'd be awesome. And then you got a lot of people like, oh, the Bills aren't like that. The Bills aren't a me team. The
No,
Bills aren't a look at me team.
no.
And they're not. But OBJ I think he's got a bad rap from the history of which really wasn't his fault. In New York, he was a horrible team, and he was by far a shining light for them. Wanted to get out, get to a better roster. You can't blame him for that. Goes to Cleveland, completely exposes how trash Baker Mayfield is. And, again, not his fault. Going in with another bad quarterback, a good roster, but a bad quarterback, finally gets to a good team with a good culture and hoists them to a Super Bowl. He was going to win the Super Bowl MVP if he didn't get hurt.
Absolutely.
So I'll address all the haters on this saying he wouldn't fit in the culture and that. Nah, I think he'd fit in just fine. And Josh Allen definitely wouldn't be complaining if we got him.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, people want to talk and they want to be scared about talking about, there's not enough footballs and stuff like that. That's all hogwash. First of all, a real offense and a real team, first of all, would be being a team. And they if they have a bigger goal and a greater goal in mind, then it's not gonna matter. And I've been hearing, stuff out of camp, and I know you have as well, that they said that Gabe is unguardable now. I don't know if that's some of the cornerback play that we talked about earlier in the show, or
Yeah.
if it's a combination of the both. But I know that Gabe Day, like unguardable. You know what I mean? So you add OBJ, like, get out of here. One of the things, since we're sticking with receiver, one of the reasons that Brandon Beane may not bring on OBJ DT is that Khalil Shakir is starting to look like what everybody thought that he was, which was a draft day steal. Some people rated him as the number one draft day steal of the entire draft of any team, not about just the Bills. Khalil Shakir, they say, is showing up, and he's building a little bit of a rapport with Josh, running with the ones every now and then. Have you heard about him? Have you kept any ears to the ground on him? Because I have. He's my number one breakout Bills player for the draft, for the rookie class. I loved him coming out. I loved him. He was my number one pick, even over James Cook.
And we spoke on him a little last week, and kind of having flashes. And I think Ty mentioned Tasker was saying he had flashes, and so I looked into him a little more this week. Because I've been seeing and hearing the same things, and yeah, I mean, he's a dog, man. He's coming in and really filling that role of Isaiah McKenzie and Gabe Davis used to have. Right, they were never had to be looked at as the guy, but when they were in, they were very opportunistic, and made it happen. So I think that's something that role needs to be filled on this team as Gabe Davis moves into that second wideout spot. Somebody needs to come in and be that opportunistic receiver when that the defense isn't game planning for. And you saw how open Gabe Davis could get, and you saw how open Isaiah McKenzie were when they weren't in there as frequently and the defense wasn't planning for him. Khalil Shakir can come and fill that role in as kind of that gadget where the defenses aren't ready for him, and he's a big guy. He's a big guy and he's fast, and people have somewhat, I've heard, Debo Samuel type of vibe, like where he can be not so much of a gadget guy, but he'll be able to play the slot, play a little outside. At Boise State, the only reason he came inside to the slot is because they needed to get the ball to their best player, and
Right.
quick routes, get the ball in the playmakers' hands. And yeah, I mean, looking through it, he was rated as kind of a third round. Being said, he would have taken him if he had a fourth round pick. He would have taken him fourth round, no questions
Taking those,
asked.
yeah.
So
Yep, you said that.
we exactly. So we get him in the fifth, and he's coming in and having that quick connection, filling that role. That Gabe Davis and Isaiah McKenzie have stepped into a bigger role in the offense. We need somebody to come in and be that gadget.
Yeah, I agree. So it's starting to get to a situation where everybody is starting to kind of settle into their roles. Now, again, we haven't seen it on the field. I'm going to trust that, that Dorsey is in a situation where he understands what's been successful. So I heard it actually on GR yesterday that, would there be a chance that, it was Shope. He asked Sal Capaccio, he asked him in their segment, is there a chance that Dorsey would start to run the ball more or change the offense? And I immediately thought of Nickel City Crew. I immediately thought of you. I immediately thought of like my biggest, that's been my biggest sticking point of the offseason outside of Poyer getting his bag, was that when are we going to pay Poyer, and what the heck is up with Ken Dorsey? Not because he can't do the job, and we already talked about that. It just means he's never done it. So I when I heard that yesterday, I was like, man, that's been my number one question. Is so I feel compelled. I'm not trying to steal content from another show, but it literally has been my biggest sticking point all offseason. What are the chances, DT, that Ken Dorsey comes in here and obviously you're not Brian Dable, so obviously you want to put your stamp on the team, but putting your stamp, quote unquote, on the team doesn't mean running it more, it doesn't have to, does it? Like that, I mean, you can come up with different concepts. I think like you could do some different things to make it Ken Dorsey's offense, but for the Bills and the offense to go from this high octane, passing offense like Madden, like I play Madden, and I, never run the ball except if I'm on the goal line. Like
Yeah.
if you're going to literally switch up the offense just in the sake of pride or the sake of putting my name, quote unquote, on the offense, I don't know if that's a good thing to do.
and I think over the past couple of years, the run game has been, people have been very critical of the run game. Oh, we got to run the ball better. We got to run the ball better. We got to run the ball better. But I don't think we do. I think these guys have to be complements to Josh Allen, and everybody could always run a little more efficiently. But I don't think that's a strong game plan to come in with outstanding receiving core, the best quarterback in the world, and you draft a running back in James Cook that is going to be more of a versatile, pass catching, finesse guy. The run game, I think, is not a focal point of this offense. I think it needs to be there and be complementary, but I'm not concerned. And over the past couple of years of running better, blah blah blah, when it came down to it, 17 gets in the gun and gets it done. And if he's got to run for it, I'm confident he's going to be able to as well. Speaking of, on GR, I was listening to today, they were saying the actual injury rate, is more on these pocket quarterbacks, not the running one. So it's almost a myth that if you run as a quarterback, you're going to get hurt more. So I don't think they're going to start blocking 17 from running the ball, and that's a big part of their offense. Is he's the number one running back, so I think that's still going to be a thing. They did a little better on the run game, but I don't think by any means Ken Dorsey's going to come in and say we need to run the ball more to be effective. They are effective, and he was a big part of that. And
Now,
job.
if you allow me, and I have to play devil's advocate because you know that how I feel about McDermott. If you allow me to play devil's advocate, one of the reasons that Dable was getting ready and wanted to leave and had his resume all typed up was because he didn't want to work with McDermott anymore because they did not see eye to eye on specifically what they talk about with run game ratio with the passing game. So if you allow me to play devil's advocate, DT, what are the chances that Ken Dorsey wants to please his new boss? Because I do think that I do think, regardless of Josh Allen, obviously that nobody can deny his running ability, and I think that that's why they do it. But they've actually kind of toned back on it, and they're doing it in the money games, which I totally agree with. But late in the season they'll run him more, and I totally agree with that. But outside of Allen, I think that McDermott wants to run the ball more all of the time. So how much of a percentage is it that Ken Dorsey might want to, make his boss happy? Because that can be dangerous. And I don't think that Bills fans are thinking about it enough. And I'm not trying to bring doom and gloom or anything like that. But when I heard Shope and ask, Capaccio that question yesterday, I was like, wait a minute, that's been my topic. That's been my major concern, is that what will this offense look like? Now, maybe he's just smart, and I think he is, and maybe he just copies the entire offense and he adds in some wrinkles or something like that. And now he's got OJ Howard, so he runs some more 12 personnel. Maybe it's just that simple, and it's that simple to me. But yes, there is a sense of pride that he wants it to be Ken Dorsey's offense, not Brian Dable's offense, and I can understand that as a professional.
And that's a good point, Rob. It really is. I mean, this guy is. I'm sure Ken Dorsey is extremely grateful he's getting an opportunity to be an offensive coordinator in this league, and his first, I'm sure he was impressed. And determined that he could be here for the long haul. So with that, this is a good point. I hope he doesn't, definitely sacrifice everything to do that. And I think McDermott, at the end of the day, is smart enough to know what he has. But also at the end of the day, Ken Dorsey's a quarterback. Came up as a quarterback, right, and knows what it takes to get the ball around and throw it. So that is a good point and something to definitely keep an eye on as we roll. But also this week, the 2-year extension to Reggie Gilliam, I think that speaks volumes to, not necessarily getting this guy the ball, but a similar, like when he's in the game, he's in there to push the pop and be the sixth blocker and get it rolling. So that might have something to keep your eye on as well. Of we're signing an extension on a 2-year fullback. Obviously, he does play a lot in the special teams game and helps us out there too. But he's come in and played fullback, played tight end to be a strict blocker on this team, and that might speak to something of what this offense is trying to do and what they see in the future.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I agree. I like that. So, I mean, I want to give him, the credit, and I definitely want to give him the benefit of the doubt at the very least, because we haven't seen him do it. So I'm excited. I'm definitely excited for this preseason game coming up. Again, the Bills are getting in action, and really the entire NFL, to be honest, is getting in action. it's all weekend. Like it's NFL is football is in the air. Episode 1 was appropriately named, and we've got action coming up on Thursday, the Giants and Patriots, and then the Tennessee Titans and the Baltimore Ravens get into it. And then Friday there's a bunch of games. Saturday there's a bunch of games, and then Sunday finishes up preseason week 1, the official week 1, because we had the Hall of Fame game, and that's the Vikings and the Raiders. So I'm excited just to see football on my TV again. I know it doesn't mean anything. You don't overanalyze it. And obviously Bills fans, we know that from over the years, but now we literally have a squad where we really don't have to overanalyze it. We're looking at, battles now and different things like that. What will be one thing throughout these 3 preseason games that you're going to be looking for, DT? And I guess you can narrow it down just to Saturday's game. What's one thing that you're going to be looking for as we wrap up this episode tonight? What are you looking for on Saturday? Because I have something specific in mind.
Well, the first, maybe more obvious overall, health.
Oh yeah,
Health,
well,
health.
yes.
You got to make sure.
I'm knocking on wood now.
Yeah.
I'm knocking on wood now.
But
Yes.
I am interested to see, the type of rotation on this defensive line. There's a lot of names coming in, and even the third, fourth, fifth guys rotating in are vets and bigger name guys. And it's going to be interesting to see in the preseason who's in there in the third and fourth quarter, who's getting the last reps on this defensive line, and who's really causing ruckus back there and getting to these quarterbacks and stopping the run. So I think that would be out of anything on a long list of things I'll be keeping an eye on. I think the rotation of this defensive line, because it's not so much there's a couple veterans, a couple good players on there, and then some rookies to file in. There's some names on this defensive line, and we'll see kind of how that all rotates out.
Yeah, we're going to watch it, and obviously everybody will be paying attention to it because it's something to look at. And for me personally, I already played my hand earlier. Like, I don't know how much Shakir will get out there on the field, but like, that's my guy. Like, 10's my favorite number. So I'm automatically kind of just locked in. And I liked him I really did like him coming out of the draft.
That's a nice jersey too. That's a nice jersey.
Yeah, that is nice.
You like to get
That's
something
clean.
a little different than your normal. Obviously you love the 17 jerseys and the Von Miller
Love the
jerseys,
14s,
the
the
Diggs,
40s,
jerseys,
yeah.
but that's a nice undercover one. The Khalil Shakir. Remember the Charles Clay one you got me a few years back. That was a nice, unique,
I have to rock it.
jersey.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think that I like that. I like that you like him, and I hope to fall in line here.
Yeah, it's already on deck. So I've already got that getting ready to go. I don't know what game I'll wear it in, but I've already got that on deck, and I'm going to support the young man for sure. I didn't put Crippen on it. Normally I'll get a 10 jersey, maybe put Crippen on it, but no, I'll rock with Shakir and represent him and his family because I do like the young man. So we'll see. As we wrap up tonight, I was so happy to see. I was on Instagram, and then Twitter had the same thing of Josh coming out, and it was funny because they had, for the red and blue scrimmage, they had like something behind the scenes where you can hear him. And he's like, I'm going to get in so much trouble for this or whatever. And it was so funny. They were almost perfect. The red helmets, obviously, when I'm talking about Bills Mafia, Nickel City Crew, they were almost perfect. But literally here on my desk is the original red helmet from the 90s, DT, and they've got the striping wrong. And they didn't put the white in. And it bothers me, but it did look sweet. What a moment of Josh Allen coming out, and to hear him say, I'm going to get in trouble for this. And then he's like, these fans are about to go crazy. And I loved it. I loved every single second of it. It was so fun. I don't know if you were there, but to watch that little Instagram clip, it was like, that was just, it warmed my heart, regardless of the white strip.
Yeah. It was good. It definitely, it didn't look right without that white strip on there. And I don't know if I like the
white stripes.
Yeah, I don't know if I like the red with the red jersey. I would have liked to seen that, on a white or a blue uniform. But
I think if you had the white
funny,
stripes, BT, you would not feel, you would love it. I promise. Even on the red on red, yes, I promise.
I mess with it in Madden sometimes. I mess with it. In
Madden
it's
those
sometimes.
two white stripes on the outside. They're missing them, and it messes it all up. But it looks so sweet. It looks
but I think it's great. I think Josh is, good. Obviously plays into this really well. He knows, what he's not an idiot out here. He knows what the buzz is around town. He knows what, people are talking about. He knows what will make people, cheer and be happy. And I thought it was pretty
Yeah.
funny. And,
That shows his
you
awareness,
know,
though.
and
I like that. I like
yeah,
that about the
exactly,
team.
exactly. And who knows? I guess they announced that they wouldn't be doing it this year like some of the other teams, but now that it's open, they can do it as you go down the road. And I would like to see it. It is a nice look, and looks good. But and you probably got this email speaking on Madden a few times tonight. You getting it for free with your season this year?
Yeah, that
You
was a
see that?
really cool that was a really
Yeah, yeah.
cool, addition, and definitely something that was not I was not expecting that. So yeah, my son, Nate, he'll definitely appreciate that. He'll get Madden for free, but I didn't tell him yet. But yeah, absolutely, that was really cool. Absolutely, EA Sports, rest in peace to John Madden, because I play that thing, and I never run the ball. I don't want my team to run the
Oh,
ball. I understand that they are going to run the ball, and I'm not calling for that. I want Ken Dorsey
yeah.
to kind of stick on some of the same path that
Exactly.
Brian Dable
Don't
was on,
don't go
regardless if it makes
uncharacteristic just to
no,
prove yourself.
regardless if
Yeah.
it makes McDermott uncomfortable. Because when we're winning 35-10, and by halftime McDermott can pull a lot of his guys, he's not really going to be complaining too much. And that's how I feel about it. This offense can be explosive. It can be dynamic. You go for the jugular as soon as possible to start the game, and you don't let up off the gas. And I'm really with that approach. And I think that Brian Dable, quite frankly, was of that mindset. And I think that made, our coach uncomfortable sometimes from a defensive background. Air it out. Air it out means shootout, because we got to give the ball back. You know what I mean? And now my defense is, you know what I mean? So I think that all that kind of plays into it. I don't know the riff completely, but I thought it was something to bring up. So I appreciate you
Yeah.
at least talking me off the ledge. I think that
Yeah.
that Ken Dorsey will
And
be just fine. I really do. You're right.
alleged riff too. Obviously we don't know.
Yes, yes, yes. Alleged drift. You're right. 13 seconds. Nobody knows what happened. You're absolutely right. I understand how that works. Well, I appreciate you, DT, man, coming on, and again, taking some time out of your night to be on. And again, Nickel City Crew, we're here in the building, right here on Buffalo Fan Base, a part of the Bills Mafia Podcast Network. I've had so much fun being on Bills Fan Base, Buffalo Fan Base, and I really do appreciate this opportunity. Thanks again, DT, man. I appreciate you taking time out.
Yeah, always a pleasure. I get excited about this. It's something to look forward to as the season's coming up and the juice is getting real, and doing something that we both love to do here. And we're just going to keep getting better and learning from each other. And I was listening, to last week's episode, and just really kind of couldn't get the smile off my face. And
Yeah,
some of the
man, that's how
feedback
it is.
as I share it
That's how it is.
around, and and as I hear, my friends and people like getting back to me on, that, hey, we listen, that's good. We can't wait for more episodes. And so I'm really excited. I know you are too. And as we get excited for the season, it's each week we're looking forward to this, and giving the fans some content.
Yeah, man, forget it. I mean, F it. You know what I mean? My mother listened to this, so I try not to curse too much. But yes, it's official now as we close out this episode. Adam Rupczyk, DT Dump Truck, the man, the myth, the legend. He is the official co-host of Nickel City Crew, excuse me, with me here. And I appreciate you being on, and I appreciate you taking time out of your day and your schedule. And I've just been having a great time. I cannot wait. The Bills, if you're looking to catch them, obviously you can watch them locally, I'm pretty sure, but they are on the NFL Network for out-of-market people, 4:00 on Saturday. So let's look and support our team, and again, knock on wood that everybody stays healthy. Other than that, man, I really appreciate it. And as always, these were my Bills thoughts said out loud. Please spread love, not hate. Go Bills. Let me get a go Bills, DT. Go Bills, man.
Go Bills, baby.